Welcome everyone to separating childhood needs and sexual desires. And I'm going to do what I always do when I start, which is to ask you to all unmute at the same time and say hello so that we can feel the buzz and the energy of the people.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
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 Okay. Good morning, my time.
Great. Why don't you write a word in the chat? One word. How do you feel and where are you calling in from? So we get a little feeling of this group dynamic. And you who are watching the recording, I hope that you also feel that you are part of the community here. Curious from Sweden. Sweden, Copenhagen, Idaho, Stockholm. I can't, it's coming too fast. But Brazil, Berlin, Stockholm, Belgium, more Sweden, Caribbean, Brussels, Malmö, Sweden, Germany, Sweden. A bit tired, a bit sad, a bit stressed, a little bit anxious and cautious. So this is not an easy topic. So I just want you to take in for a moment that you are all very brave to choose to come here. And it's not like you're coming in super relaxed and happy and joyful. All right. Just acknowledge that for a moment. Mexico, Belgium. Yeah. So to start with, I just share a few words. If you are in a class with me for the first time, you can do like that. So I see some new faces. You're extra brave because you're like, who is this random person? So my name is Lita Da. I know many of you from before. Some of you are new. And it has become a passion for me to approach the topics that most people kind of tend to avoid when it comes to exploring sexuality, the topics that sometimes are a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah? Because I have been in the field of sexuality for 8 years now. I came into this world with a lot of sex positiveness and the joy and the freedom and the polyamory and opening up for orgasms and practicing saying yes and saying no, and it was all a lot of joy, and I experienced a lot of opening, but I also encountered within myself and within a lot of people that in this chase for orgasms and connection, there's a lot of unmet childhood needs and trauma responses hidden underneath that we all have. And most people in society, we think of trauma as only those people who have been through a very specific situation. But from my perspective, when we look at childhood needs, we all have childhood needs that were not fully met. And when they were not fully met, we grow up in life and then we are chasing to get these things met very often through our relationships. And most of the times we're talking about quite simple, but yet so deep aspects, just as feeling loved, feeling special, feeling heard, feeling seen, being appreciated, being accepted for who I am, being allowed to have my emotions, being appreciated for the one I am. And when we don't get this fully when we grow up, we tend to unconsciously look for these to have these things when we are looking for our perfect partners. and especially when we are looking for sexual connections. So very often our sexual desire is a cover-up of the need of feeling loved or wanted to be seen or having connection or whatever is lying behind. And the last talk that I gave, it was more related to attachment and how we look at anxious attachment as having need for connection. When we move into relationships with a lot of need for connection, we can easily feel fear of abandonment or fear of losing the other or feeling lonely when the other one is not there. And if we move into a relationship with what people will call avoidant attachment, I see it as you have a lot of need for freedom. You were not given space when you were small, so you feel very easily invaded. So as soon as become intimate or people need something, you need more space. So you're very welcome to look at that because it will also give you more understanding of this workshop today, where we are looking at how these emotions get overcoupled, especially in sexual intimacy. And this workshop is part of a bigger concept that I call Grow Up. And I have online courses available on my website that one can buy, web courses. And I run a 6-month program with 6 different modules. And the Grow Up part is the one that has been growing within me the most lately, we can say. So when I do this work, the first part is starting with grounding, starting with having an emotional understanding, coming back to ourselves and having tools for that. And I'm sure you all have yoga practices, meditation practices. I'm not expecting that everything I say for you is new. I'm expecting you also to like, oh yes, I know that. So whenever you like hear something that you agree with, or you already know, or you have the experience, you can nod, or you do like this, and then I hear that you are with me, that we are together. So you can just try that. It's like, oh yeah, I feel that too. Yes, then you do that. Yeah, great. So first is the foundation, that is the grounding. And when we have a good capacity of grounding, which is feeling centered, which is feeling in the body, is being able to be in the here and now and not so hijacked in the emotions that are worries of the future or traumas from the past. And being okay, it can also be what we can call inner peace, happiness, joy, connection on the vertical level. This place helps us to explore pleasure and pain. So who has ever been in a place where you just want to enjoy the good stuff and you don't really want it to stop and you're kind of holding on to the good stuff and you're kind of dreading that it's going to fall down? Raise your hand. You know that one, okay? Who has been into I can't be happy until I have dug into my shit and mud and traumas enough, so I can't be happy and I'm just kind of digging around and I never really feel that I'm getting happy? Yeah, quite a lot of you as well. So none of those two by itself will, from my experience, solve the problems. It is finding a balance where we have the stable ground, where we can feel good, where I can feel safe. And from this place, I can go into difficult emotions without getting lost and getting in depression and stuck. And then I can, because I know I can come back to a level. And the same thing if I go into pleasure. If I don't have this middle place, of course, I don't want to get down from the pleasure because I'm going to go down in my depression. So then I need to hold on to the pleasure as long as I can because otherwise I'm going to dive. So this middle platform is essential for that. And in this workshop, as I said, we are in this second part, which is the grow up part. And it's really understanding that a lot of the actions that we do, a lot of the behaviors that we do in adults, they are actually, it sounds negative, but like childish behavior. There are actions and reactions that make sense for a child, but if you are in an adult being in your presence and conscious self, then the reaction should actually be, or should, naturally is different. That is another better way of putting it. So another question, for example, so feel this one, a truth that we hear. To express your love to somebody and it's not returned is the most painful thing. Who agrees? So then I'm going to say, to express your love and it's not received back is the most painful thing when you are a child. So just feel that. And I see somebody has a question. Tilda, if you can write in the direct message and I will respond to your question when there is a good space for that. Yeah, so just feel into that. When we are a child and our love is not received, it means that I don't have the right to, that I am unloved. I don't have the right even to maybe exist. Yeah, maybe the world will be better without me. This is what it feels like when you are not received in your love when you are a child. When we receive love and we grow up and we learn that mother and father or the people around me are not the only one who can give me love, then I start to receive love from other people. And maybe at some point I can also connect to some kind of universal love, some oneness, and feel that we are all connected. There's love everywhere, in the trees, in the animals, in the supermarket, there's love everywhere. So an adult, we also need to receive love. But if it's not received from one particular person, if I'm in my mature self, I can see that it's available elsewhere. While a child only wants mommy and daddy. You can send them 100 mummies and it's not going to fulfill their need. Doesn't help. So if you're in a relationship and you feel, I can't live without you, then you are in a childhood self. So let's do a little practice before we move on. So think of a moment. Now, before we go into that one, just think of a moment where you felt at peace, where you felt in this moment, I don't need anyone specific. It's just lovely that the world exists or people exist. Maybe you were in nature, maybe you were dancing, maybe you achieved something, and or something just felt generally beautiful, and you felt like, life is good. And then write one word in the chat. How does it feel right now in your body? When you breathe in a moment where you're like, So put one word in the chat. When you remember a moment where you have inner peace, felt grateful, relaxed. Yeah, what do you notice right now? Grounded, calm, soft, happy, expansion, amazed, slightly more relaxed, warm, comforted, emotionally supple, strong flow, present. Feels hard to understand the questions. Okay, I will see if I can do my best to keep them slower. Present, fulfilled. And as you feel this word, choose one person on the screen that you just randomly felt like this person looks nice. Choose one person and look into their eyes. They don't know you chose them. You just choose one that you felt like this person. Yeah. So right now, the exercise is just to choose one person you see on the screen that you feel gives you a nice connection, or that you like to look at them. And just notice what happens in your body when you just receive connection. And now imagine everybody's looking at you. Yeah, you're giving them love and connection. Yeah. So this is building resiliency. This is building capacity to hold myself or to receive support, not only from one person, but whoever is available, I get it from them as opposed to chasing it from somebody who's not giving it to me. That would be a behavior from childhood. From here and now, it's like, oh, my partner is not available, but this person is available, and I feel seen. And now you think of a moment. You thank this person. They don't know who you were looking at, but you thank them anyway. And you think of a moment where you felt lonely. And when you felt not loved, or you felt like you really wanted a certain love from a certain person, you feel unloved. And now give this part of you an age. How old do you feel when you tap into this loneliness? If it's been with you your whole life, you might feel like the age you are now as well. And if that's the case, just see if you can, how long have you been feeling this feeling? When did it start? And write in the chat, how old is your inner part that feels lonely and not loved? Six, 3, 4, 7, 3, 4, 6, 3, 4, 12, 5, 6, 16, 3, 4, 45. Yeah. So when we feel it in this age we are now, then you are be curious, like, did it start at that time or was it maybe there also earlier? Many ages and now. Yeah, that's normally what it is. And if this feeling started very, very early, we might not even remember who we were without this feeling. And it becomes an identity. But it's not us. It's one reaction of the body from a certain situation that most of the times happened when we were small. From 6 to 45, yeah. 5 and 6. Now imagine you have, see if you can imagine how, I can't remember an age when I didn't feel like this. Yeah, and then maybe it is even an infant. If we had trauma early birth, if our mother got into a depression, we had a complicated birth, we had to go into, what do you call them, little machines or these aspects, then we felt disconnected already when we were born. So it can really depends on when we started to experience rejection in our life. So now imagine you have your little child, either holding it in the hand, sitting. We're not going to do profound trauma healing in this online session in 1 hour. So I'm giving you some tools just to get the concept of the understanding. Yeah. So but we want to take a moment and feel this inner child. No, not your actual child. If you have children, not that child, but your inner child. But I like to call it your inner aspects of different ages, because it's not like we have one child that lives in there, but we have aspect of all the different ages in us. Yeah. And when something happened at that age, they separate. They become unintegrated. So now you have them in your lap or you have them sitting next to you. And you can take a moment and you can do this. And just hold a little bit. And then I'm going to ask you, so this 5 or 6-year-old, If you would say to them, don't worry, honey, I'm going to find someone to have sex with and everything is going to be okay. How do they react? We have to laugh about our traumas as well, okay? So I still a little bit provocative questions. So not so that we don't take life so seriously. We all do this. Okay, I feel lonely, I feel needy. So I'm gonna go and have sex with my partner or ask for intimacy, or I go out and I get drunk and I go home with somebody so that I feel less lonely. Yeah. Or I don't want to have sex, but I feel so lonely, so I'm going to go and have sex with my partner or with somebody. So maybe I feel less lonely, but actually my body doesn't want to have sex. Maybe you recognize that one too. Just take a moment and just feel compassion for yourself if you recognize that you ever have done one of these aspects, one of these survival strategies. And we use them because those are the one we have access to. If we had had better tools, we would have used them. Yeah. Right. And now think of a happy childhood memory. Repeat the last part. I already forgot what I said. Can you tell me what I just said and I can repeat it? It just comes. I don't have notes. I said that, yes, about tools. So it's very easy to judge ourselves for the survival strategies that we had. But we use them because that is the best tool that we have accessible. So if when I'm lonely, I drink alcohol, it's because it's helping me to feel less pain. And that's the best tool that I had in that moment. So the judgment is not necessarily supportive, but we can acknowledge that this is the tool that I had. So that's what I used. And now I'm learning to use new tools. So when I was a child and I was lonely, my best tool was to go and be by myself in my room. And that was excellent. Maybe there were toys there and you got into your fantasy world. And, you know, it was an excellent tool. Kids are super smart. But then when you're 35 and you're in a relationship and then you feel lonely and you go into your room by yourself, maybe that's not the best strategy anymore. But it was the best strategy at some point. Whatever strategy you have, it was great. Your body gave it to you because it helped you in that moment. Yeah. So where were we moving to? Yeah. So now we have the little child here. So now I want you to think of a happy childhood memory. It doesn't have to be the most perfect thing in the world. Just a moment where you felt joyful, playful, happy, just, you know, in everything that you were going through in your childhood, a moment where you felt happy. And see if you can invite something of that in the here and now. So if you were to bring in little this child right here, I'm gonna put on some it says kids background music. We'll see what comes, and then you'll see if it fits with your kid. I don't know. So you can also write in the chat if you feel a certain emotion when you bring in, or if it's difficult to feel to feel this moment. Here we got some child music. All right. Invite. We'll play. We can. And you have the child sitting in the lap, holding it in the hand. Hello. You can't hear the music? You can? Okay. Give me your hands. All right. Let's all unmute one more time so I can hear your voices and see that you're still alive.
Yes,
I can
We're here.
We're here. Who else is here?
I'm here. I'm here.
I'm here too.
All here.
Right, good. So I just had a comment here of somebody who said that they saw a tweet that it said if your inner child, if you meet a person, your inner child screams for the person to love you, this person is most likely to trigger a trauma response. While if you feel like you want to play with a person, it's a sign that this is a person that invites safety in you. And this is very true. So if you desperately want the person to love you, they are probably not available, and the less they're gonna love you. But what also happens is that we might meet in this safe and playful place, and we're like, whoa, finally, I feel so loved and I feel great. And then we separate, and then comes up the hook of the one who wants, because I want to feel that happy and great and playful again. And then I need this person to feel it again. And when you hear me saying it, when you hear that, I need this person to feel happy. Have you ever felt that? Be honest. And now be honest to yourself. Isn't that a lot of pressure to put on another person? I need you so I can be happy. That's a lot of pressure to put. And it's no wonder that people take distance from us when we are in that space. Take it out. So we want to practice what I call self-sourced pleasure, which is in my 6-month program, the last part of the program, when we go more into pleasure and to lovemaking and spiritual relationships and conscious relations. And it is that we really need to practice pleasure. And a lot of people think that practicing pleasure, it means masturbation. buying more sex toys. And yes, that could be a great thing, and you can have some nice orgasm, nothing against it. But if the sex toy is just giving you a quick like orgasm so that you feel less lonely, you have probably not built your self-source pleasure. Then you're just using the masturbation to achieve something for a moment that gives you a kick, just like we could do anything else for a kick. Nothing wrong with kicks. Sometimes I just feel like masturbating and getting my little kick and go to sleep. But just acknowledging that is not the solution of my inner peace. It's a nice thing that I can do. So self-source pleasure is when I trust that I know that my body can feel pleasure, it can feel good, and it knows how to feel sexual pleasure, which means we need to shift the idea that somebody else is giving me the pleasure and I have to wait around for it to be given to me. 2, my body and we know how to feel pleasure. I can feel it by myself. It feels great to share it with somebody. But I don't need somebody to awaken something in me that I don't even know how to access. That's also a lot of pressure I'm putting on somebody. So when I know my body, when I know my pleasure, and when I know my triggers and how it shuts down, I can meet somebody and it's enough that they are listening and present and we can feel pleasure with them. They don't have to be the greatest lover in the world. That's when we feel the most seen. It's like, oh, they see me a way that no one else has ever seen me. Yes, they see me a way that you're not willing to see yourself. So when we practice self-source pleasure, then it's like we share a dance. So I'm going to give you, I want to, can I have a dance partner? Who would like to be on the video and be my dance partner? Can I have a brave? We'll take both Sam and Marie-Louise. I'll add you both. Okay, so you're. I'm gonna add you to the spotlight, and we're gonna have. So Sam, you're in the spotlight now, and I'm gonna add Marie-Louise too. There you are. You can unmute. How does it feel to be in the spotlight?
Exciting.
Okay, and you move up. We're not gonna stand up because then we can't see our faces. So we can kind of dance, and you can have at least half of the body seen. So you can move up. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. I'm not sure how to fit half of them.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And you who are watching, you can also go into the same kind of feelings that we are doing. So Sam and Marie-Louise, have you ever felt just really good dancing by yourself and music is nice and life is good and like, yes, you have? Yeah. Tell me, how does that feel, Marie-Louise?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Well, I just feel full and rich and alive and really, just enjoying so much. It's like, great.
Full and alive and enjoying so much. Okay, so I just was looking at the comments and saw if I had missed something. And Sam, how does it feel for you when you are in that place?
I feel strong and grounded and expansive and happy.
Strong and grounded and expansive. And I just want to share that somebody in the comments said, I don't feel as happy as you other people. And when we do these practices, as the moment we start to try and feel what other people are feeling is normally the time when we fail the most. So if I'm thinking of my happy memory and it makes me feel sad, then instead of thinking I'm feeling wrong, I can feel, interesting. My happiness, that happy moment is glued, it's called overcoupled to something that is sad, that I haven't processed. So if I think of a moment, I remember that I was very happy, but it was with my ex and the breakup was very bad. Then when I think of it, my body will go into sadness. So when we do more deeper work in trauma therapy, we'll learn to uncouple or separate different feelings. And we can realize that even in moments where I feel sad or overwhelmed, I also have access to happiness. So if you right now in this workshop, you're not able to feel your happiness, be curious of what it is that you are feeling. And to say, interesting, this is what is here. So there's no right and wrong. All right, back to you, Sam and Marie-Louise. So instead of putting music, I'm just gonna sing us some music, and you go into the happy and expansive feeling, like do 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 ba ba do boo boo so do 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 eh. And you who are watching, see if you can feel the joy through them. Oh, that feels nice. I want to feel it too. Yes. So you keep on going, you too. And if I have access to my self-source pleasure, then when I see these people moving and then I'm like, oh, I want to feel like them. I use my co-regulation skills, my mirror neurons, to see like, oh, I wonder Sam is doing like that and Marilla is doing, what if I do that? And suddenly I awake my pleasure in me through this moment. Yeah. Okay. So you keep on dancing now. And then I want you to look at me and Marie-Louise and Sam. And I'm going to do the opposite. So now I imagine I feel lonely. I feel outside of myself. And now I feel you. How does my presence feel when I'm approaching you now? I'm noticing myself. I feel like a small child, like, see me, pick me
like
up.
you're looking for something kind of thing.
I'm looking for something. And if I would have been in an old male body, we would have judged it to say, oh, it's a creepy guy. Okay, they're no creepy guys. They're just lost inner children. So I can't access this in myself. So I am trying to get it. Instead of, how can I feel it? Yeah. All right. How do you feel?
Yeah, alive.
Alive. Okay. So Sam, it's your turn. Now you're gonna play the needy. You look at Marie-Louise and you're like, oh, I want it. Oh, she's so sexy, or like, oh, I want it. Just go into that feeling. You're going outside of yourself and just like, give. How does this feel in your body, Sam, when you're moving into that space?
I don't really feel where to put myself. It's like I don't know what to do with myself, really, in an uncomfortable way.
I don't really know what to do with myself. Yeah.
Feel a little bit like paralyzed or something.
Yeah, it is. It becomes like a freeze mode because I'm trying to get something that I can't get because it's on the outside. And what should happen there, if we were a child and the child feels like this, I'll be picked up. And then in these lovely arms of Marie-Louise, the child will be like, no, I pick you up. This is how it feels to feel good. And then the child goes like, woo. And then you get curious again and then you run out. Because when we are small children, we don't have the capacity to regulate ourselves. We need another person to show us this is how you can feel good. And as adults, we need it too. But we're not going to be picked up. But that's what we pretend like we do when we are trying to pick up each other in the clubs. We actually want to be picked up, and then when we come inside of each other, it's like, oh, finally, I feel oneness. I'm back into the womb. It's so nice. Thank you, guys. Any reflection from any of you before I let you go of this little practice of self-sourced pleasure?
Yeah, I loved being the role I play, but I also am very familiar with the please, please.
And what do you notice when you go into that? Just here and now, the please, please.
Give it to me.
How does it feel in the body?
It's a strong contrast to the aliveness. It's just like, yeah, like the freeze you were talking about.
Yeah.
Everything becomes
Yeah.
like
So what we
almost
need
not
in that
breathing.
moment, yeah, it's actually not even what we think we are looking for. It's not the love, because we won't ever be able to receive it. How can we receive a lot of love when we're free? So what we need, we have safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not sex, or it's not like, oh, I love you, or like, please tell me you never leave me. Okay, I will never leave you. That's not what you need, because it's not true. That's what we think we need to hear. But we need, okay, I'm going to be okay. This is life. Here I am. All right. Sometimes I get what I want, and sometimes I don't. Sam, you want to share something? How was it for you?
I don't know. It is two very different states to be in, and it feels like the state of dancing and being in my own pleasure and not needing anyone else to give that to me. There I don't know if in control is a good word, but in a sense I'm in control, which makes me feel safe. I feel like I can decide my next step, and if I don't feel like dancing, I'll do something else, and that's all good.
Yeah, we have freedom because we are safe. We can play.
Yeah. I'm safe and I'm in action somehow. In the other state, I just feel like I'm not in a place where I feel happy, but I also am not in a state where I am acting towards anything. So I'm just frozen.
So then we do this again. So we don't want to judge this part, the one that feels like, oh, I just want it. But we do, it's the same practice we did in the beginning. So if I'm on that dance floor and everybody's having a good time and I'm not, can I hold myself? And can I look for somebody who feels safe? So instead of looking for the one who's not looking at me and feel like, oh, they don't love me, or this handsome person doesn't want me, maybe I see this older woman sitting in the corner, like a nice grandma. And I just hold myself and I look at the nice grandma, and I can co-regulate from the grandma. And I can be like, oh, maybe I was chasing the wrong person again. And then you think the grandma feeling, which is like, they don't have energy for earthly matters. It's like they don't have energy for dramas. It's just, and you bring that energy in. Or you tell your partner, I feel small and needy. Can I have a hug? Can you hold my hand? And if they're available, they say, yeah, sure. Instead of saying, we never haven't had sex for 2 weeks. So we address the childhood need, and then when we feel relaxed and safe, we can become horny and we want to maybe have sex that same day, but not from that place. All right. Thank you, Sam and Marie-Louise. So I have, we're going to do a little exploration. So first I'm going to share a little bit about it. And then I'm going to put you in breakout rooms to just talk with one other person a little bit how you relate to these topics that I'm bringing up. So there are many ways that we might react when it comes to mixing up childhood needs with sexual desires. And I'm going to give us 2 ways that we're going to explore today. So when we are in self-sourced pleasure, then we don't need to chase. When we are in the inner peace, then we can connect. And if it floats, it flows. And if it doesn't, we're also fine. We can have it and we cannot have it. And then we can go into the desperate need of needing sex. I need to have it now. And this can lead to having multiple partners to fulfill the desire that is constantly there. It can also be wanting to have more sex from a partner, either not getting it or getting it, but there is an unmatch with the other partner who doesn't want it as much. It can be watching porn, it can be masturbating. And again, I'm not judging a high sexual drive. I have a very high sexual drive, and it's nice and juicy when it's in connection. But when I am using my horniness to cover up my loneliness, it doesn't feel as nice. So it's more about being honest with where we're at, as opposed to pretending it's something else. So one of the reasons why we fall into that we can call the addiction side. It's like, I need intimacy to regulate myself, or to feel loved, or to come back to myself. Yeah. If you've done any 12-step programs, they have like love and relationship addiction. This could be one expression to explain this. And there can be a few different reasons, and I'm sure you might know more reasons than the ones that I will share. But one can be, well, to start with, from the beginning, there's some lack of connection in the childhood. So I don't feel that I am loved enough or feel seen enough. And then when I move into teenage years, I might early discover masturbation. I might early discover that I can feel a lot of pleasure by having sex with others. And my body gets used to, this thing works. Woo! Sex is awesome. And then, which is, again, that was the good tool at the time. So no tool is a bad tool at the time when it's used. It's the one we have. And then we get used to overcoupling horniness with feeling connection and love. But they're actually two different things that don't have to be connected. So when I have an orgasm, or when I have sex, or when I'm watching the porn, I feel for some time pleasure, instead of feeling whatever loneliness or disconnection that I'm feeling otherwise. It can also be if we have been in sexual abuse as children, or not necessarily, is not talked about so much. Again, I talk about triggering topics, so thank you for daring to be in the space. So not very much talked about is that when parents don't really know their own sexual energy, they can become needy and use the cuddling with their kids. And it's not on the paper sexually, and nobody understands that it's sexually, but it becomes an overstimulation that the child likes. But it's too much for the nervous system, because it's like needing something. So there can be a certain emotional overstimulation or sexual or pleasurable stimulation for the child that then becomes a habit for the body as a way to avoid feeling uncomfortable emotions. So it can also come from really early, or if and when it comes to sexual abuse for children can often start with just loving and caring, and so it's somebody the person loves, and it feels really nice, but then they cross the boundary, so it gets like yucky. But it's a bit the memories in the body are against each other. It's like, I like it, but I don't like it. So then when we move into our sexual life, we get into sex as something, I like it, but I don't like it. And it can become the norm. Yeah. I notice some people are yawning and it's getting a little bit intense. So let's do a little shake, because this might trigger some things. And I'm getting sweaty, so I'm going to take shake it out a little bit. Yes. All right. So I worked with sexuality for 3 years before I realized and admitted to myself that I had an addiction to pleasure, or that I had used intimacy and pleasure to cover up my loneliness and my neediness. That's why I'm so good at intimacy. That's why I have become such a great pleasure coach, because I used it as a survival strategy. And it was with the tool that I had, and now I have learned to use it differently. But the reason that I used it so much was because I was using intimacy to cover up for other emotions. So, but I've also been on the other side, which is I long for connection. So who has been in the, I'm feeling really horny and I just need to have sex now? Sometimes in your life, I just need the sex right now. And if I just get to have some sex, I'm going to feel good. Woo, yes. And sometimes we do feel great afterwards. It's not a bad thing, but there's a big possibility that we might have a little dip and feel a bit lonely afterwards. And who has been in, I don't want sex so much, but I want to be close to this person, so I'm having it anyway. Yeah, and we all have that as well. So that will be on the other side. So now we talked about the addiction side, and now we're going to talk about the shutdown side, which means I'm using the strong words because in the beginning it's not an addiction. It's just kind of a leaning towards a tool that we use. But over time it becomes an addiction when we don't have any other tool. And when we have sex when we don't want to, it might work for some time. Until the body suddenly says, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And then it's like, oh, I have lost attraction to my partner. Oh, it's because I have vaginal pains, or it's because I have erection problems. Most probably it's because you allowed yourself to have sex in moments where you actually did not want to have it, until the body suddenly is like, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. And then your mind is like, what's wrong with you, body? Why are you not becoming wet? Something is wrong with me. Yeah. And personally, I thought that I was a person that didn't get wet. Because in my 20s, I had sex because I wanted intimacy. And I never really felt like penetrational sex, but I wanted the idea of sex in my mind, and I wanted the closeness. And then I was like, maybe I'm just a person, I just need to use a lot of lube because I don't get wet. And that was a lie that I was telling myself, because then I don't have to feel strange, you know? But the body works when it's safe. And the shutting down of the sexual, like no sex drive, or no rectal dysfunction, vaginal pains of different kinds, they are often because we have, it's layer on top of layer on top of layer. And sometimes we already started when we were 14, 15, having sex in a way that we actually didn't want. And then we never learned that there was anything else available. So we just kept on doing it. And then many people say it's like, oh, but it worked so fine when I was young. No, it didn't. But you didn't know anything else. So you felt like it was normal, but it wasn't. It's like people like, oh, I could drink so much alcohol when I was young. I could have a hangover and then I was fine. It's like, no, you were not fine. And now all of those times when now you're 40, your body's saying not anymore. But it was never fine if we had listened to the body. Does this resonate with you? You see how we fool ourselves, and we kind of like, we're like, no, it's because I'm getting old. No, it's because we never learned to listen to our body. Because it tells us really early with small signals what it wants and what it doesn't want. When the body is in freeze, it doesn't want to have sex. So, and we're not told, we think freeze is like this position. No, freeze is like, I'm not really here. I'm thinking of something else. I don't really feel my body. I'm a bit numb. We're in a freeze response. And then we're like, maybe I'll take some lube and maybe it's going to work out. Yeah. So I created this little map. Let me see here. That I'm going to show you that we're going to fill in together. I'm going to put you out in a breakout room. You're going to discuss a little bit, if you want to, your own experience when it comes to these aspects. So here it is. You can see it? Yeah. So when we are in the middle, that's when we are safe and we can connect to our self-source pleasure. I know my body's capacity to feel good. And then when I can't access that, then I'm hoping to get it from the outside. And then either I will go into trying, forcing it to get it. And I move into needing intimacy all the time. Or I do that maybe for a while. We're normally on both sides. On one time, we're like, oh, maybe I just want more pleasure. And the other one, suddenly my body doesn't want to have pleasure at all. And then we go more into the shutdown side. So in the breakout room, we're going to discuss a little bit. And then when we come back, we're going to just fill in some words that we feel, or stories that resonate, or experiences that resonates with these aspects. So we are quite a lot of people. Oh, wait, I'm going to have a questions here. As a demisexual person, it goes deeper than sexual for me. It's likely for longer for genuine connection. Yes. So demisexual is like I only have sexual intimacy when it's the heart is there. And personally, I see identities as ways to hold on to something to explain who I am. But in the end, we can all have all identities in different times of our lives. And depending on how we are connecting to ourselves. So when we are connected to the real feeling, why we want to have a certain intimacy, we are more likely to become more picky. What kind of intimacy that we have. And then, because when taking care of our true own boundaries, it's like, it's same if we're looking for jobs. If I'm truly like, I need to work with music, this is my passion. If I don't work with it, somehow those people, they make it. It's like when something becomes really important, we prioritize it. So the day that you say that my body is only going to have sex that feels really connected to me, you're going to do it. But in the transition, it might feel uncomfortable because we have to say no to other kind of sexual relationships we used to have. So the transitioning might be a bit uncomfortable. And also admitting there might be some shame, there might be some sadness when things starting to come to the surface. Do we have any other questions? Let me see here. You can write in the chat, and you can also unmute. What about needing friends or community to feel good? Do you think we should be able to regulate all by ourselves? Humans are pack animals. We need other humans. Yes, we need other humans. So the difference between the child and the adult is that we don't need a specific person. If my partner is not available, I still need humans. So to go to community places of dance and sharing and emotional, like group settings, sports, all of those things are really great for our nervous system to regulate. And this idea that we should only be able to regulate ourselves is not possible, because these small parts, when we are connecting to the really young childhood parts, they can't regulate. So if I'm in a freeze and I'm hijacked by my 2-year-old, then it's probably going to be very difficult to regulate myself. I need another person. But I don't need my one partner to be the one to do it. I can use my therapist, I can use my friend. And the more mature and aware we become, we ask for what we need from people who are available. We can ask for consent. Are you available? I feel very vulnerable and I need support. Are you available? And the person said, yes, I need to go in half an hour, but is half an hour okay? Yes, that's okay. Thank you. And after half an hour, he said, thank you for giving me support. But if I'm in my child, it's like, you need to be here. You don't love me. You have to be with me now. And then it was like, as soon as you start to relax, like, you're going to go now, you know, you're going to leave me again. So we are becoming the child as opposed to staying in the mature self and noticing and being able to take care of the childhood needs and ask for the regulation that is available for us. Any more questions? Okay, so I'm in the go of creating the breakout rooms. So just take 3 minutes each and just share. I'm going to show you the map again. And share when out of this talk, how do you feel right now? And when it comes to using sex as an addiction or like using it a lot or not using, noticing my body shutting down. How do I relate to these two aspects? And if you are put in a breakout room and you don't want to be in one, you can just not go into the room, and that's fine. And then have a little patience because I might have to move some people around. So if you're alone in a room, wait a little bit and I will put you. And then I will also, there was, if you have, if you want to be in a certain language group, then you can let me know now. But I am knowing some people wanted to be in a Swedish group, so I'm going to put some people in a Swedish group. All right. I will see you back in 10 minutes. So you are 2 or 3 in your group. And so you have a little bit longer time if you are 2 and a little bit less time if you are 3. So you say, hello, how do you feel right now? And how do you relate? I'll show you the map again. Here is the map. How do you relate to self-source pleasure? And when you move in, like being in your own capacity to feel pleasure, when you need it from somebody, or when your body starts to shut down and you don't want it anymore. Yeah. Okay, and if you're watching the recording, you can take a little meditation or you can take some notes and just reflect upon these aspects in the list. Okay, welcome out in the breakout rooms. Right. How do you feel? This feels really great. Like this really triggered me and I feel shut down and I don't really know where I am. And then we have a little thumb check, as we call it. In between, yeah, okay. Right, thank you for sharing. Just checking on you. So let's fill in some words on this map. You can mute again if you're having your sound on. Okay, so put in the chat what came up. Have you felt that you have been in the more addiction side? Let's start with let's start with addiction side. Who has been, how does it feel, or in what situation when you are, I need more sex or sexual pleasure? We have hollow. Yeah. Disappointment, unsatisfied, familiar, yeah, needy, hunger, numbness, be rescued, yes, escapism, like eating an entire cake when I'm hungry for savory food, yeah, meaningless, connection, unlovable, angry, yeah, definitely, catharsis, yeah. And if the person we are having sex with is like available to do some catharsis, which means like liberate strong emotions, like I feel desperate for sex, but I notice that I'm frustrated and angry underneath, we can use sex. If it's mutual, if we can use BDSM, we can play with it when we are aware of why we are doing it. But if we're staying in the love me place, then we're not going to release it. So it's all, again, the awareness. How about addiction, self-comforting masturbation? Yeah, it's the same. I said that as an example before. So all tools, if they give us a good release, this I do it sometimes too. It's fine as long as we're acknowledging that is what it is. But it's not, and acknowledging that the self-comforting masturbation is not going to solve the issue. It's comforting for the moment. It feels nice, just like taking a glass of wine or doing something that distracts us from the feeling, but it's not healing the issue underneath. So when we are aware of it, then we can, instead of masturbate, or allow us to do it because that's what I feel like doing right now, or we can stop and feel like, what is it that I really need? And then I can look for it elsewhere. Relaxing in short term. Self-comfort masturbation. Okay, I probably missed some because the chats came out. They come fast. Maybe I can make this one bigger. Yeah, I can, so that I can see more. Okay, so let's go to the other side, the shutdown place. So how does that feel? Fear, bored, sad, lonely, abandoned, numb, avoidance, disconnected, no, not as pleasurable as sex can be, shame, cold, labious. If I've been looking for what I truly needed, I wouldn't have done a lot of things, and not that easy to solve, and I'm afraid. Yes, and we also, I like how I was in family constellation training, and he said, this is not about making everything perfect or fixing all family or relationships. It's always going to be fucked up. But with a little bit more awareness, over time, I can make better choices for myself. So nobody, as I said, when we did it, it was great at the time. It was what we had to do. So it's not about thinking back, I should have done it differently. It is what it is. And now you are here because you're in a different place in your life, and you are, I'm imagining, looking for different ways of doing things. All right. And notice what happens in your body as you see these words: fear, bored, sad, lonely, abandoned. We take on collectively as well, just like when we were moving into the pleasure before. So just notice, some of you might be yawning, you might be thinking of what you're going to do next. Yeah. So these are the responses coming in. So we can shake it out, and we're going to go into the middle column. Yes, that's a really good comment. Somebody says, in a strange way, I felt peace during shutdown because I don't feel pressure. So that's another thing. Shutdown feels comfortable in relationship to dealing with the fear or the panic that might be expressing. So actually, a lot of people, when you practice a lot of meditation, if there's no connection to the body, the peace that is experienced in meditation is sometimes a shutdown, which is a dissociation from the body up into an in peace up here, but it doesn't have that openness and the satisfaction and the relaxation. So it's a temporary release. It's a temporary relaxation, but underneath it, there's a lot of trauma, or there's a lot of emotions that eventually will come out in form of sickness or a burnout or stress or negative behaviors, or in many different ways, if we are in this peaceful shutdown place for too long. All right, let's go to the last column. Self-sort pleasure. Shake it out a little bit. You can bring your shoulders up and breathe and all right, I'm noticing there's 2 minutes left, and I have a lot of things that I would like to share with you as well. So I hope it's okay. You can take an extra few minutes over. All right, so here we are. Happy, calm, ecstatic, funny, safe, excitement, selfless, powerful. Just feel these words. Creative, juicy in connection, juicy in contact, very wet, curious, light, satisfied, expansion, deep connection. Yeah. Adventurous. Playful, quiet. Yeah. Harmony. And it might not be that it's if you feel like it's not available to you, it still can be available to you. But if we have a lot of disconnect from the body and things, to come back to this place might need practice. But I don't have space to go into more deeply. Self-sufficient, empower on my own pleasure. Yeah, that's owning my pleasure. Non-needy, loud. I'm here. This is me. Self-sufficient. Great. And yes, you can take a screenshot of this if you like. I'm taking one myself because we had really nice words. And I will post it. All right, we're about to round off. So how are you feeling, guys? Are you, are you getting some new insights? Are you like packed in quite a lot of like intense things in short time? So I will take just a few minutes and share why I do this and how you can work more than with me. So I came into the Tantra world and conscious kink and sex positive world And after that, when I started teaching, I was focusing so much only on the pleasure part, but it's come very short-lived if we don't deal with the stuff that are underlying. So that's why I now run a 6-month program, and it's online because there's so many people who need this who are not living in Stockholm. But also what is very interesting with the online stuff is that it's not instead of the physical. But when you are in the online space, you are more, you have a bigger chance to experience that you are the one doing the inner changes, and you might keep it more when you close the screen. So to meet once a week on the screen and notice that you can feel really great, that is that when you can integrate your experiences into your daily life. So this program is to integrate whatever ayahuasca trips or tantra festivals and things you're doing, and then you're coming back home, and how can you manage in your daily life to have these tools. And I also have a upcoming retreat 4 and 5 of November here in Stockholm that is called Grow Up, and we're going to focus on this, and it's 2/3 sold out, so there are a few spots left, and it just shifted up to the last price level, but we decided to anyone who is here can pay the previous price, which is 30 euros cheaper than the actual price at the moment. Mona is posting it here in the chat, the retreat. And if you are curious about my 6-month program, we're going to chat with you. We have connected with you on Facebook. We're going to chat with you and say, how did it feel today? If there's something that came up tomorrow, this might be moving things in you. And I would love to offer you a 45-minute call. And what happens in the call is that we help you to really feel what it is that you are looking for. Not what do I think I need on the outside, but what is it deep inside, so that we can get some clarity. What are those needs and what is lying in the way for me to feel that self-sort pleasure and feel really with me or good inside of myself. And people who work with me, they over time, I'm just going to take a breath because I hate talking about myself. Do you know how difficult it is to be your own product? Have you ever worked on have you worked selling telephones or stuff? And at least you're selling somebody else's product. But I have to do it. Are you okay with listening when I sell myself as my product? So some of you here are in my program already and or have been. You can wave a little bit and say it's nice to have you here. Being this healing part, it takes some time, but it goes quick. We can have really quick changes in short time. But to have them lasting, it takes some time. It takes practice. I have this other flyer image that I like to show. This one is nice. So this is people's problems. They don't want they want quick fixes. They just want to go and have the juice experience, but they don't want to do the boring, which is to make shifts in your daily life. And to also share a personal how this works. It's not about avoiding the storms. It's about having tools to be with them. So 1 hour before the class started today, I was in my period and my body shutting down and me feeling like a small girl and crying. And I'm allowing it. It comes naturally. It's like, oh, this I haven't been have time to give you space. In the past, I would have hanged it up and I would have kept on doing like, oh no, but I'm teaching a class. Or no, like when the emotion comes, it's like, hello. And I was just sitting and just holding my womb and like, ah. And I came in with Mona, and we can learn how to shift our energy. We don't get stuck in what we see as difficult or negative. We learn that they come and it goes, and it comes and it goes. So if you want a free call, you can also just send a message right now with your email or phone number. Say, hey, I have a few times slots this week if you want to meet me. And anything else? Questions, thoughts? How are you feeling? You can unmute or write in the chat. And I'm gonna give you a little evaluation form as well, so that I can hear how you are feeling right now. No questions? This is your moment. Take it. We have some, you see here, tired, thankful, feeling vague, inferior to you other sexual people. Thank you for sharing. For more clear about my own power in holding myself. The topic resonates. I'm tired, but as an avoidance strategy, tiredness is a very good way to shut down. And I have practiced that. I fell asleep regularly every day, and it took me many years to understand that it was a shutdown response, not a tired response. I noticed you said many times, how does it feel in your body? Which I, as an autistic person, can't relate to. I don't feel emotions in my body. Do you have any thoughts of that? Yeah. When we are when we have difficulty to feel emotions, I have worked with many autistic people, and you can also learn over time. And you don't have to be autistic to have a disconnection to the body, but the emotions are there. It's just that the awareness is difficult because it's an overwhelming the body and the disconnection. So we might be more in the mind or in other aspects than being in the body. So if we have difficult to feel emotions in the body, we can start with the sensation that we are feeling. Like if I rub my hands, can I feel this? It's like, yes, I can feel that. Can I feel the cushion under my knee? If I wobble a little bit, can I feel that my feet are cold? So it doesn't have to be, a lot of people think that everybody else are experiencing something that they're not experiencing, but it's not about that. It's more about what are you experiencing? So to start really slow, and when you feel something, you just be grateful for that. Yeah, I do feel a bit of stiffness in my neck. Great, then there is something there. Grateful for sense of community around a difficult topic. Do you have any practical exercise to move more into empowered self pleasure? You can join my Facebook group. I share exercises there. I recommend morning practices, daily practices to get out of our shutdown states in the morning. Come and explore more. Come to the retreat, and also since last week I put on my online courses onto my website. Maybe one of you can put the page for that. So if you feel like I'm not ready to commit to a 6-month program, but I would like more of Lee, somebody is not muted. If you can mute yourself, I don't know who it is. Thank you. Yes, on my website, you can now buy my online courses, so you can just watch at home, and then you can reach out and ask questions after that. But they're full of exercises and practices that you can do, but also what other somatic practices, which means in the body, movement, dance, but not doing, or when you do yoga, it's not about the perfect posture, it's about sensing how the body feels and allowing emotions. So somatic work. So I'm very happy that I launched these online courses. It was a big thing, and now they are there on my website, so you can also buy them and watch at home. That would be really nice. As people are leaving, I went over a little bit over time. For you are still able to stay a few minutes, I'm going to ask you to fill in a little about mini evaluation. And to do that, I ask you to open a browser. You can do that on your computer or on a phone. And when you open a new browser, you go to menti.com. So you see here at the top, menti.com, and then it will ask for your code. And this is the code here. And if you're opening a screen on your computer, I can read the code. It would be really helpful. So please open a browser, menti.com, and the code is 54720130. I will read it one more time. 54720130. And then you will get to answer these questions that are here. How you feel, and also what you are taking with you from today. So I already have a couple of people who DM'd me, said they want to book a call. So if you also feel like, yeah, why not? No expectations, I get to know me, a moment to get to know me. If I'm giving away free stuff, use it. I like to get to know people. So have a call with me and we explore a little bit so that you can know your next step, whether that is in the program or elsewhere. And thank you for admitting how you're feeling, because I understand this is triggering. You might trigger anxious, and this is a lecture. This is not a trauma healing session. So you might feel some things moving, and you are very welcome to reach out afterwards if you are looking for support or understand what emotions are coming up in you. And also to have a lot of patience for ourselves to understand that if it's uncomfortable to be in the body, of course, we're going to choose to be elsewhere. If every time we come to the body, we feel a lot of anxiety or undealt things, of course, it's more comfortable to not be in the body. And then we need to take it really slow. And then and also share what you are taking with you there on the next slide. New perspectives, practice more. Look for the grandma. Yes, we all need a grandma to regulate with. All right. Thank you for staying so long. I thank you for today. Anyone want to ask something? I'll hang around. And I hope to see you. Tack så mycket.
Thank you so much.